It is the July 4th weekend, and we have returned to one of our favorite places in the United States, the Texas State Railroad. What better way to celebrate America than observe American-made steam power operate in the heart of East Texas? We'll begin in Palestine, Texas at one of their depots. The crew has fired up number 30 and is making the final preparations for the journey to Rusk and back. Before beginning today's trip, we're going to be taking a look at what Texas State has been up to since our last visit. Over the last few months, TSR has been working hard to assemble what they call the Hall of Giants. The Hall of Giant displays historic steam locomotives along the several tracks along the Palestine Y. Among them is Texas Pacific 316, a 10-wheeler built in 1901 from the Cook Locomotive Works. It is the smallest locomotive on the Texas State fleet. Also included is Santa Fe 1316, a 462 Pacific type locomotive built by Baldwin in 1911. This is the first time that 1316 has been in one piece since the early 2000s. This is also the first time in decades that the 1316 has been in its ATSF appearance. Back when it was operating, it was painted in a sharp green paint scheme and had the number 500. We really hope to see the 1316 run again. It would be the largest operating locomotive on their roster, but there is one locomotive that beats it in size. And on that note, that brings us to Texas State's prized possession, the mighty Texas Pacific number 610. Built in 1927 by Lima Locomotive Works, 610 and its sister 210-4 Texas types were among the first superpowered steam locomotives built by Lima. While TP610 will not operate for the foreseeable future, we'll always be glad to admire this behemoth. After a while of posing by the Hall of Giants, number 30 pulled its passenger train down the Y to position it for the boarding. After navigating the Y, the switch will be flipped, and 30 will push the train back into the depot and await for the departure time. Before departing Palestine at 11 a.m., we decided to get in position close to Robertson Ranch on County Road 1232. About 10 to 15 minutes after the scheduled departure, number 30 came around the corner with its loud and powerful whistle blowing for the crossing. We believe that this whistle is a Frisco steamboat that possibly was utilized by one of the Frisco meteors, though we're not completely sure. After passing through Jarvis, we moved ahead to Java and walked maybe a quarter mile down the line to film number 30 navigate the S-curve. Maydale is the site of the turntable that is showed off on special runs a few times a year. We set our cameras up on the old Maydale Depot platform as the workhorse slowly eased by. Number 30 is a 282 Mikado type locomotive built in 1917 by the Baldwin Locomotive Works. It served the Tremont and Gulf until 1954 when it was sold to the Magma, Arizona. Number 30 stayed in service longer than most steam locomotives. It wasn't retired until 1967. 2 years later, it was sold to Steve Bogan, and he passed on the locomotive to someone near Superior, Arizona. In 1974, the Texas State Railroad acquired the 30 and renumbered it into 400. After years of service, it went down for restoration in 2002. It would take 12 years for a fire to be lit in 30 again. At first, it was restored as Magma, Arizona number 7, but later was changed back to its original look and number. At the Oakland crossing on County Road 2103, number 30 must battle up the tough grade just before arriving at the Rusk Depot. The sounds of this Mikado working hard up the grade echoing throughout the woods is truly something to hear. After about an hour and a half after departing Palestine, our train has arrived to Rusk. Here it will drop the passengers off for a lunch layover. After the passengers disembark, 30 is disconnected from its passenger cars and taken around the Rusk Y. The crew is taking it to the Rusk stops where a majority of the heavy work on projects is done. Along with servicing the locomotive, the crew will take their own lunch break. After about 45 minutes of layover, the crew brings the 30 back from the shops to connect to the opposite side of the train. The crowds gather to observe the Mikado coupling to the cut of passenger cars. With the connection made, passengers climb back on board and TSRR number 30 heads out back to Palestine. The return trip is typically when the steam crew stretches the legs of 30 at the track speed of 30 miles an hour. We'll be seeing some of that shortly, but first we move back to the Oakland crossing for our first shot of the return trip. Next up is a vantage point that we've been meaning to try since our first visit. Fairchild Hill gives a nice higher up angle. Even after several trips, we still have spots that we've yet to try out, which gives all the more reason to keep coming back. Back at Jarvis, number 30 pushed his throttle forward to 30 miles per hour, kicking the dust up behind it. It would continue the speed all the way to Palestine. We would barely catch it at Gibson Road just before it rounded the corner. Here we see number 30 easing back into the Palestine depot to drop the passengers off. Another successful day on the Texas State Railroad. While the train has arrived at the station, the 282's day isn't done just yet. Number 30 will maneuver around the Palestine Y, pose for photos by the Hall of Giants, and then back into the shop. One obstacle remains in front of the shop for 30. It must couple to the mighty 610 and push it back into the Palestine shops. I've seen this 4 times and watching this is still a spectacle. As always, I hope you enjoyed watching the video. I want to give a huge thanks to Texas State Railroad for preserving these pieces of American history. This was where I saw my first steam locomotive as a small child, and I've been hooked on steam ever since. We hope to be back again sometime this summer, but until next time, thanks for watching.